Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Wright, and we're going to talk about an important and often overlooked concept in social work: family privilege. Family privilege refers to the unearned advantages, rights, or benefits that certain family structures or norms receive in society. These privileges can affect access to resources, social standing, and overall well being. It's essential to recognize that family privilege isn't universal. It can look very different across cultures. What is considered a privileged family structure is one culture may not be viewed in the same way as in another. As social workers, it's our responsibility to understand these nuances and how they impact the families we work with. Let's dive into some core concepts about family privilege. Family privilege often manifests as societal advantages given to certain family structures, such as married, heterosexual, nuclear families. These families may find it easier to access housing, education, healthcare, and even social acceptance. The norms that support this privilege are deeply rooted in societal expectations and are often reinforced by institutions. But family privilege doesn't exist in isolation. It intersects with race, class, and culture in complex ways. For instance, a middle class white family might experience family privilege differently than a working class family of color. Cultural norms around what constitutes a successful or ideal family can also influence who benefits from this privilege. In some cultures, extended families or multi-generational households are the norm. These families might not receive the same societal advantages as nuclear families in Western contexts, despite being highly valued within their own cultural framework. It's crucial for us as social workers to be aware of these dynamics and consider how family privilege, or the lack thereof, shapes the experiences of the families we serve. Now, let's critically examine the impact of family privilege, particularly on marginalized families. Families that do not fit the ideal or traditional mold often face systemic disadvantages. These can include single-parent households, LGBTQ plus families, immigrant families, or families living in poverty. The lack of family privilege can result in reduced access to essential resources, increased scrutiny by institutions, and even negative stereotypes that further marginalize these families. As social workers, it is our duty to recognize and address these disparities. We must question the assumptions that bring into our practice and consider how societal norms around families can inadvertently harm the very people we aim to help. By acknowledging the existence of family privilege, we can work towards creating a more equitable system that supports all families, regardless of their structure or background. So, how can we apply this understanding of family privilege into our day-to-day work? One strategy is to adopt a strengths-based approach when working with families who may not benefit from family privilege. This means focusing on the strengths and resources that the family possesses rather than viewing them through a lens of deficit. For example, in a single-parent household, emphasizing the resilience and resourcefulness of that parent demonstrates that they demonstrate in managing their responsibilities. Another practical approach is advocacy. As social workers, we can advocate for policies and practices that challenge the norms supporting family privilege. This could involve pushing for more inclusive definitions of family in policy discussions, or advocating for resources that support diverse family structures, such as childcare services for single parents or culturally relevant support for immigrant families. Here's an example. If you're working with an LGBTQ plus family facing discrimination in housing, you might advocate for their rights by connecting them with a legal resource or working with a housing authority to ensure fair treatment. By addressing these inequalities head on, we can help create a more just and inclusive environment for all families. To wrap up, family privilege is a powerful concept that can significantly impact the lives of the families we serve. It's important to understand how certain family structures are privileged in society and how this intersects with other aspects of family identity like race and class, and the role we play as social workers in addressing those disparities. As you reflect on today's discussion, I encourage you to think about how you can address family privilege in your own practice. How will you work to support families who do not benefit from these privileges? What steps will you take to advocate for a more equitable approach to supporting all families? Thank you for your continued commitment to learning and your thoughtful work that you bring to this profession.